If you are watching this video, it's likely because you are judging at one of our intramural speech and debate tournaments. We're assuming that you've already watched the general judging orientation video, so today we'll focus on writing the ballot for individual events, answering some of the many questions that you may have, such as, what is the purpose of a ballot and what's involved in filling it out? How can you keep track of all those speakers, or methods for ranking and rating? And how we determine who wins. The types of ballots may differ based upon the tournament, but they all have the same basic elements. First, there is information identifying the event, round number, panel or section number, the speaker, and the judge. The ballot also identifies the decisions that were made, such as the place each speaker took in the round and their rates in comparison with other college speakers. And since the ballots are going back to the speakers after the tournament, there is room for feedback for the speaker, including the reasons for your decision. Let's focus on how you fill out a ballot correctly. First, you'll transfer the information from the postings to each of the ballots. Put the speaker's code and, if it's provided, the speaker's name, and then tell us which round it is. In this case, it's round 1. If the event is not listed on the ballot, or in some cases the tab room has run out of ballots and has given you ballots for another event, make sure that somewhere on the ballot it shows the correct event. While not as important, it's still very helpful to us if you put the panel or the section number on the ballot, because when judges return the ballots, we check them off, and this may prevent us from hounding you for a ballot that you've already turned in. Next, legibly sign your name, adding in your affiliation underneath. If you were at a tournament where students from other schools are competing, just your college name is sufficient. But if you're a student judging at an intramural, you may be asked to also identify your instructor. Then it's time to make comments to the speaker about the speech. Lots of them. The speaker really wants to know what you thought about the speech, and your goal is to be as helpful as possible. Try to remember to give a reason for your decision, especially if the speaker did not get first place. Then you'll rank each speaker as first, second, third, or fourth in relation to the speakers in the round. More about that in a minute. And rate the speakers in general, comparison against other college speakers in general. And then remember to review your ballots to make sure they are complete before you turn them in. When you're making comments, remember that the speaker will be the one reading them, so write to the speaker, not yourself. Now you can make some notes to yourself, such as the topic, the organization, the number of fillers, sources cited, etc., but the majority of the comments should be addressed to the speaker. Consider multiple aspects of the speech, offering both praise and suggestions for improvement. Now remember that the speaker often wants to know why he or she didn't win, so try to justify your decision. It doesn't have to be a long justification. A few words or a sentence will do. And consider doing administrative work, like transferring the posting to the ballots before you get to the round. It will help the round run more efficiently. Write comments while the student is speaking, but show the speaker that you are listening as well. Again, you don't need to write a book, but your comments should be substantial. Identify the speech topic on the ballot so you can remember more about the speech later when you're trying to figure out who won first, second, or third in your opinion. And it often helps if you rank the speakers as you go. There are multiple methods to rank as you go, usually entailing that you are constantly re-ranking speakers throughout the round without writing the rank on the ballot until the very end, because otherwise you'll be doing a lot of erasing and crossing out. First, there is ballot shuffling. Think about the first speaker as first place until another speaker does better, which causes you to re-rank. When the first speaker finishes, place that speaker's ballot face down. Then, when the second speaker finishes, either put that ballot in front of or behind the first ballot, depending upon if you think the speaker did a better job than the first speaker or not as good. After the third speaker finishes, you'll reorganize the ballots again, always keeping them in the order that you think the final order will be. And then at the end, you'll review your rankings and reshuffle as needed. And only then do you mark the rankings on the ballots. Another method involves using dots or hash marks next to the speaker's codes. The first speaker gets a dot. If you think the second speaker is better than the first, then you'll put a dot next to the second speaker and add a dot to the first speaker. If you think the third speaker wasn't as good as the first or the second speaker, you'll put 3 dots next to their code, and so on. Now you can write notes to yourself on a different piece of paper, but remember that the speaker won't see your notes unless you rewrite them on the ballot, and that takes time. You may come up with other methods, but remember that you don't want the speaker to see your rankings during the round. Now this is a competitive event, so not everyone can get first place. On the other hand, we don't want anyone to feel as if they did so badly they got last place. So unless the tournament tells you otherwise, you rank the top 3 speakers as first, second, and third, and tie everyone else at fourth. There can only be one first, only one second, and only one third, but you can have multiple fourth places. For rates, on the other hand, ties are fine. This is when you rate the speaker in comparison to other college speakers in general. Now, it's quite possible that multiple speakers in this round are, in your opinion, superior to most college speakers in general, but you can still only give one the first place. If someone gets added to your round, usually taking the bye position, you just use their real code and rank them in with the rest of the speakers. And if a student on your ballot doesn't show up, complete a ballot anyway without comments, of course, and clearly write no-show so that the tournament knows you didn't forget to rank a speaker. Now back in the tab room, we do the heavy number crunching, creating a cum sheet, which accumulates the scores for all speakers. These are for the first 2 rounds, the prelims. We first convert the rates to numbers, if they haven't already been written that way on your ballots. And then we transfer the ranks and the rates for round 1 in separate columns, and then we do the same for round 2. That brings us to this. The next step is to add across. For CW102, we add the rank of first, or 1, from round 1 to the rank of first, or 1, from round 2 to get a cumulative rank of 2. That's the best you can get, 2 first places. We'll do the same for rate, and then carry that down for the rest of the competitors. Now it's time to sort, first based upon rank, and then on rate. Note that CW102, Michael Lopez, has the lowest cum based upon rank. He's definitely going to finals. And then comes GH102, George Huang, who's tied with KC102, Chang Li, both of them with a cum of 3. But notice that we have 5 speakers tied at a cum of 4. If we added them to the other 3, now we'd have a final round with 8 speakers, probably way too long. Our goal is to have between 5 to 6 speakers in finals. So how do we break the tie? That's where the rates come into play. Notice that there is a clear break amongst the 5 who are tied at a cumulative rate of 3. You have 3 4 3s, which is 4 for the rank and 3 for the rate, 1 4 4, and 1 4 5. So if we take the 4 3s, that gives us the 6 who will go to finals. A similar procedure happens for finals, only instead of recording by round, we record by judge. Notice that for the first judge, CW102 received a first place, second place went to KC102, third went to GH102, with the remaining speakers tied at fourth place. And you can see the rankings for each of Judge 2 and Judge 3. Just as we did in preliminary rounds, we add the ranks together. So again, for CW102, 1 plus 1 plus 2 equals 4, and we add the rates together. 2 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4, and we continue that for the rest of the student. Now it's time to determine who took first, second, third, and then the remaining 3 students end up as a finalist, or fourth place. You look first to rank. The lowest cumulative rank is for CW102, which is a rank of 4. So CW102 will earn first place. Second place, following that same procedure, the second lowest cumulative rank goes to KC102, Chang Li. Now it gets a little tricky because third place we can't have any ties for, but we have 3 speakers with a cumulative rank of 11. How do we break that tie? Just as in prelims, the next step is to go to the rates. And if you look, you'll see that PH105, Mark Goldberg, has the lowest rate of those speakers who are in contention for third place. So PH105 earns third. Unfortunately, that means that GH102 gets a finalist along with KC104 and MS116. Now this probably sounds like a lot of unnecessary detail, but it should help you understand why we are so picky about how you fill the ballots out, because we really do need that information. And while oftentimes the tab room does the tabulations for the final round, occasionally we ask you to do it when you have finished judging finals. In this case, after all the judges have completed their ballots, or at least have determined their ranks and the rates, you would all step out of the room and one of you would record the results like this, determining the places for each speaker. Then you'll step back in and one of you will announce the results, starting from the bottom with the finalists and working your way up to third, second, and finally, to keep the suspense going, announce who won first place. Finally, realize that there could be no tournament without you. We expect you to enjoy yourself while at the same time take your job seriously, which means writing complete and accurate ballots, being professional and ethical, and helping us keep the tournament running smoothly. This relates to not giving oral feedback, no matter how tempting, neither in the rounds nor out of the rounds. Your feedback will be in writing, and those results are kept secret from the competitors until after the awards. The speakers really want your feedback, and lots of it. They believe that you are a good critic who will be truthful as well as tactful. The bottom line is we appreciate you, and we thank you very much for helping us run a great tournament.